Hello everybody, this is Venkat Iyer. I'm talking on behalf of the hybrid course of WeSchool Welingkar, Mumbai. I'm going to be discussing about a topic called group dynamics, opportunities and challenges. Now, as the name indicates, we have two words, group and dynamics. Now, what is this all about? Let's try to explore. We have you and me as individuals who work to get things done. We as individuals work to get things done. We set our own goals and we get them accomplished. So on one hand, it's the individual who accomplishes a goal, and while accomplishing the goal, the individual has his behavioral, personality, factors that come into picture. So you and me as individuals, whenever we set out to do something, we come across our personality, our behavior, and many other associated human factors that come into play. The biggest challenge is how to create or how to complete a goal that we've taken into account. If I've set a goal, I want to complete it to the best possible extent on time. Now, in most cases, my behavior and my internal human factors, they come into picture and they make me inconsistent, which means my output is not what is expected throughout the day. I am not a robot. Now, this is a basis of understanding how we are discussing group dynamics. It's a very vast topic in which there are quite a lot of things to be covered, but given the time, I would like to explore how group dynamics can be used by us to understand how the human beings who work in a group are in a position to make things happen. So when we are discussing about a group comprises people. Group comes into picture whenever we have to do an extraordinary goal. What we call it as superordinate goal. So when a superordinate goal has to be accomplished, we come across a number of people coming together. Again, when you talk about a group, there are two types of group which we define in management. One we call it as a formal group and the other one is informal group. Now the formal group is one that's created by the body, by the goal in mind, where everybody involved as members of the group have to accomplish it. For example, we may have a division, marketing division of a company, and they would like to have a certain marketing goal to be accomplished. So they have a team or a group of people picked and chosen to accomplish the goals, in which they play certain roles. Now this is a formal body, a formal group, and this formal group is controlled by certain do's and don'ts and certain formal rules and regulations. It's important, it's required. Now, having said that, you and I would agree that when we are in a formal setup, we usually have a bit of a resistance as individual human beings to work. Not all the time we love controls. Not all the time we would like to work under duress or pressure of fulfilling something, fulfilling some targets. That's human nature. So there are two parts to you. One is the goal achieving part, which is imperative part of your work. The other one is a human being which has to work comfortably and achieve the goals. Now we are addressing the second part of it, which is about you, the human being. Right? So we have a formal group, and this formal group is formed by a body, the organization, the division, the department. Now within the formal group, we also have people within the group who form their own informal equations and subgroups. Within the formal group, we have people who form their own informal subgroups. What I call it as apna types. The people who come together because of common shared values, people who come together because of certain commonality and certain types of resources that we need to share it with each other. a certain type of a feel good which they experience with each other. All human beings seek a feel good when they meet others. So when we meet other people in the formal organization, we naturally try to align ourselves with people who are like us. So these are the informal groups. A typical example of an informal group which you observe is in the canteen when there is a break between 1 and 2 during the lunch break. You'll find that people sit in clusters and they need not be people from the same department, the same type of hierarchy or something. No. You'll notice people who are comfortable with each other, friends, they come together and they form their groups. So these are called as the informal groups. The purpose of the informal group is not a goal, it's more about relationship. So in other words, when a group is formed, there are two dimensions to a group. One is a goal dimension, the other one is a relationship dimension. The relationship dimension has not been given much of importance in organizations in the past. It's always been goal, and goal comes in front. And if there is something to be done in terms of cosmetics, then a bit of relationship training or coaching used to be given once upon a time. Today we have come to a position where organizations are investing hugely on relationship building primarily, and in and through the relationship building, we are going towards goal achievement. This topic is very relevant to modern times, group dynamics, because it deals with groups of people who have to align themselves, having harmonious relationship and understanding, because it's only in and through that they would be in a position to achieve goals, superordinate goals. So what is this group dynamics? The group comes together. First, it's a formal group created by the organization, and into this formal group there are a number of subgroups which are informal. There's a statement which says that informal groups make or break the organization. Informal groups make or break the organization, which means the power of the informal groups, the power of relationships, the power of people with shared values, the free expression they have within themselves, the alignment they have creates a huge amount of organization energy. Very good organizations, matured managements, they tap on the informal equations of people who are working with them. While I may have departments, functional departments, but what's important for me as an owner of a company, as a CEO, is to understand what are the various informal groups which are aligned with each other. Once I see this, which is practically invisible, you could understand why certain groups of people are vocal on certain issues within the organization. I'm a leadership coach, I'm a behavioral trainer. I train in the area for neuro-linguistic programming, and in my area of work with corporates, which is what I do intensively, I've come across this common issue which corporates voice to me. They say, Venkat, targets get achieved, we get turnovers, we get top line, bottom line achieved, but we are having a major issue when it comes to retaining people. And I'm not talking about retaining people at the operational level, but at all levels. The answer to that is a careful understanding of what is group dynamics. Now let me explain a bit of it about what group dynamics is all about. Dynamics means a movement. Now what movement are we talking about? This movement is nothing but you and I, the human beings, who are a part of a group. We are not consistent on a daily basis in a behavior. At the same time, we are not consistent on an ongoing basis. I'm sure all of us agree on this. Now, I could be very efficient early morning because of my biorhythm. By afternoon, my efficiency may come down, and by evening, it may be back up. Or I may have a mood swing in the morning, and then that mood swing may continue throughout the day. Now, this is what human beings are all about. Since each of us have got a human element which predominates our well-being, that is one area where a lot of attention needs to be given. Now there's an individual and there's a group as well. And we have a group of people who are working together under certain rules, under certain instructions, under certain types of directions. Now these people, they are expected to give consistent output. But they, being human beings, are having their ups and downs of mood swings, behaviors, etc. individually. To add to that, they also have their own equations among themselves, the interpersonal equations. Now those interpersonal equations start off as formal and they may gradually become informal. Again, when I belong to one informal group, I may not belong to another informal group within the organization. Now this creates a lot of push and pull. Now this push and pull creates a whole lot of energy which could either take the departmental goals towards higher levels or it can even demolish it. So there is a need, a lot of careful attention to be given in how to deal with the dynamics of people individually and collectively in terms of their behaviors, their moods, their emotions and the way they feel. No one has got a control over somebody else. But what can be done is we need to understand, we need to observe how these movements are going. Behavioral scientists, people who study behavior in a very scientific way, they would agree and they would know that there are certain type of patterns. So we need to do what is called as pattern recognition. Pattern recognition. There's a person X, now he has a pattern of behavior. The X and Y and Z come together as a group, they have a certain pattern of behavior. So there are two patterns. One is an individual pattern of behavior, second is a group pattern of behavior. Now these two patterns need to be recognized, and after recognizing we must know to maneuver them as company owners, as managers. Not control them, maneuver or manage them. Controlling human beings is foolish. Managing them is wise. So how do I bring out the best in you? I need to know that you're going through certain types of dynamics, individually as well as collectively. And this changes that you go through is something that I can map. I can watch the trend, I can watch the patterns and accordingly guide my delegation to you. Ensure that I manage you and your dynamics and take you further. So, one of the things that needs to be understood is a pattern recognition. Recognize the patterns of behavior. This is easily said than done. One needs to be perceptive. One needs to realize that the person working with me is just not a subordinate, just not another designation, but a human being. So with the human touch, things become different, pattern recognition becomes easier. Next we talk about what sort of influences, what makes these patterns occur. Why is it that a very talented person, a person who's got all the skills, is not able to give out the output? Why is his behavior bad? Why is his behavior not in line with the organization's expectations? We also have in organizations the other type of people whose behavior is perfect, politically perfect, very clear. They move around very well with everybody. Output is pathetic. So organizations look for two things. One is goal achievement, and with the goal achievement there has to be a harmonious interdependence on each other. Now for this interdependence, we need to understand what is making people the way they are. There are a number of factors. To begin with, the person's personality, his mental makeup, his personality about how he conducts himself given a role. So we have role personalities with which we live and conduct our life. So given a role, how does a personality come forward? Is he an impressive personality or is he a person who's apologetic? Personality factor is one. Second comes the influences which he has around him. The home from where he comes, the society to which he belongs, the religion to which he belongs, and several other influencing factors. Now these influencing factors are themselves dynamic. They keep changing. They have their own priorities with time moving ahead. And so, this person who belongs to these groups of people also has an influence on him. The point to be noted is that each of us is a member of several groups. Now, what do I mean by this? I am a member of the first organic group to which I belong, which is my home, my family. I become a member of the other group called my school, where I enroll as a school student. As age progresses, I become a member of the college group to which I belong. Then I become members of the friends to whom I am attached with. And so on and so forth. You can map bubbles in a chart paper and you can say which are the groups to which you belong. A study has shown that people belong to, on an average, 60 to 70 groups during their lifetime. Starting from the home, and as your age progresses, you become a member of a number of groups. Now each of the group to which you belong influences the way you think, the way you act, and the way you achieve. Now these influences and your personality put together is something that comes in the way or affects the dynamics of your behavior. So you need to be consistent in your behavior as per organization's requirements, but you find yourself with the flow of time, the dynamism affects your consistency. So what do I do? Do I arrest the dynamism? Certainly not. Do I allow the dynamism to go? Maybe. But what is important is I've got to realize that this needs to be managed. Now when I say managed, it's not just the word managed as we know in the dictionary. It's something more than that. It's about understanding human beings at a very close quarters. Understanding why the dynamics are taking place, mapping them individually as well as a group. And when you go along with this, you'll find that most of your issues of people not giving output, interpersonal issues of conflicts, or for that matter even people not giving out their output, getting switched off in the type of roles they play, and maybe finally leaving the organization. Now all these things which we are grappling with today could be curtailed to a very large extent. The focus is to understand how the dynamics flows. The dynamics is to be understood by knowing two things. Here is where I talk about the theoretical framework. There are two theories, there are two types of models I would like to discuss right now. The first model is called as a Bruce-Tuckman model of group formation. Bruce-Tuckman model of group or team formation. When a number of people are brought together or they come together for achieving a goal, Bruce-Tuckman model talks about 4 stages or 5 stages of group formation. The first stage is what is called as forming. The group members are brought together, so the group is formed. The group is given a name. Just imagine the Indian cricket team or the IPL team. A name is given, number of players are coming together. So forming. Now when people come together, they come from different backgrounds, but they've come together, they've been brought together to achieve a goal. So as the time progresses, this forming stage slowly enters into the second stage, which is called as storming. Storming. As the name indicates, there's a lot of storm kicked up. What sort of storm? When people come together first time formally in the forming stage, there's a lot of goody-goody behavior. But when you come to the next stage where you have to start performing, your natural self comes out. And when your natural self comes out, what happens to you and me? Our personalities and all that we stand for, our natural behaviors come out. Otherwise, we can't achieve what we are set out to achieve. So my behavior comes out, your behavior comes out, somebody else's behaviors comes out, and all these behaviors will start clashing with each other. The storming takes place. Difference of opinions. Some people feel that we should not have conflicts. Some people feel that storming should not be done. A good manager, a good leader, a good homemaker would allow the storming stage to mature. In a storming stage, people are involved in wanting to achieve the goal. At the same time, their behaviors are coming with each other. So one needs a matured approach to take the storming to a stage where it enters into the third stage, which is called as norming. In the norming stage, we have had our conflicts, we have had our misunderstandings, and after all that we have arrived at the fact that we shall work together as a team, as a group, and then we take it further. So in the norming, we all set our roles and we know the importance of each other. We develop a respect for each other and their roles, and then we proceed further into the fourth stage called performing. Performing, wherein we actually perform the goals, but not in isolation, not with certain things within ourselves, misgivings about each other, but with a deep understanding that yes, we are here to form this particular endeavor into a success. The norming stage is a culmination of a good group in which the dynamics has been properly managed. And managing the dynamics is a role of the team leader or the group leader or whoever manages the group. It can't be like each one to himself. I really don't care. I want the results. At the end of it, results would come. But with the results, you may have people leaving, feeling hurt, and all sorts of other toxic energy coming up in the organization. This is common in practically most of the companies which I've come across. If you want to avoid this toxic energy, make people achieve willingly and feel good about their achievements, this is one of the prescriptions. Understand the 4 stages, take them to all the 4 stages. The same Bruce Tuckman is talking about the 5th stage in terms of temporary teams or temporary groups. There are 2 types of group. One group is a permanent group which remains throughout the organization's life. I could be having a department or a certain project taken up in an organization which will carry on throughout the year. A quality circle, for example. It's a permanent group. Members may come and members may go, but the quality circle will remain. Now, I could be having a temporary group which is set up only for a certain goal to be achieved, after which the group is disbanded. Now, this group goes through the 5th stage, which is called as adjourning. Adjourning. So, after the performing is over, the goal is achieved, the group is disbanded, and it is adjourned. They all go back to their respective background from where they come. So Bruce Tuckman's model is talking about the stages of group formation, stages. This is telling you how to identify the group dynamics. Forming, storming, norming, performing, and in case of temporary teams, adjourning. Now this is one model I wanted to present to you. The second model is what is called as a Meredith-Belbin model of team roles. Meredith-Belbin model of team roles. Now focus on the word roles. Now roles are individual. When a role is individual, the behavior comes out. Now in a team or a group, you will always find that certain people, they adopt their natural style of contributing. this natural style of contributing, they are best at it. For example, there could be a person who is very knowledgeable about the project and he or she could be critical about things that are going wrong. Now that's a role he or she is playing. There could be one person who's a connector, who connects with people. He or she is a person who likes to talk and connect with people. Now that's a natural role he or she plays. He or she is comfortable with that. So 9 different types of roles have been told by Meredith. 9 different roles. I'm not going into the details of it right now given the time. I wanted to read about it. Meredith, Belbin, team roles model. Now these 9 roles are depicting what type of a role one adopts when one is in a team. The first one, Tuckman's model, is talking about group formation, and Belbin is talking about team roles. So what I do individually, what I choose to do in a team is what I do. So when I combine these two things, I observe the individual and his style and his role. At the same time, I know the stages through which the group is getting formed towards achievement. When I combine these two things, I would be in a position to understand group dynamics to an appreciable extent. While my focus is goals, understandably, it would not be goals at the cost of the human beings who are working with me, at the cost of the well-being of people, about their sensitivities, about their personalities, and whatever these people stand for. Now that's where the group dynamics plays a very, very major role. There are a lot of books on group dynamics which I would like to recommend. There's one book that is written by Rodney Napier. Rodney, R-O-D-N-E-Y, N-A-P-I-E, Rodney Napier, with another author. Now this is a book of group dynamics which I would recommend you to read, those of you who are interested. It's a book that gives you the detailing about how the group dynamics works. It would also be nice for you to read something about sociology, about how people behave in a group. At the end of the day, when we are working in a group, the group energy matters. Today, individuals are very intelligent and smart. They are good achievers and they know exactly what they want. But when they come in a group, there's a disruption of whatever they stand for in terms of their intelligence, their competencies, etc. Now this disruption could be largely because nobody is directing the dynamics of what each of them stand for into a flow. While I have smart boys and girls working as a team, I could be ignoring their sensitivities about what they are seeking and what they are wanting to do. This is possible. Now that's where we come from. So once we understand that at the bottom line we are human beings and then professionals and then executives, group dynamics becomes very easy to understand. I do one thing regularly during the course of my profession, whether I'm teaching or I'm a trainer. I try to first sense people, sense human beings. I see a stranger, I try and sense him or her. Now sensing, what is sensing? First try to get comfortable with that person, make that person feel comfortable with you. Now this doesn't require much of time. It's not about being informal for the sake of it. It's about trying to understand that I've got to work with him or her. So let's try and make each other comfortable. This is one of the starting points which each one of us can do. Regardless of the role that you play, could you take up a type of an equation, a comfort with each other? If this becomes a habit with most of us, we would find organizations going to heights of achievement. So friends, this in short is the topic on group dynamics. It has got its own opportunities and the challenges are what are many. It's up to us to take a call and take us ahead. So let me take some questions. I believe some people are wanting to ask some questions. So here we are. We have, I think the first person is it Nupul Shivalkar? Nupul Shivalkar, good evening. How do we ensure that everyone in a group works towards a common objective? if everyone has to work towards a common objective, there has to be some sort of a comfort zone with the people who are working with each other. I'm certainly not talking about a comfort which is a laid back comfort, but something in which each one understands through emotional intelligence that he or she is there for a common objective. We may have our differences, but when we work together, the common goal should become easy for us to take it. Nupur, given the time, this is the short answer I could give you, but this requires deeper understanding about what each of us stands for. Right? So I take the next question. Celicia Gomes, how can we manage group efficiency while focusing on individual output as well? I think I've already explained this during the talk. Understanding individual dynamics is a first step, Celicia. So once I understand the individual dynamics, it becomes easy for me to maneuver myself in managing that one person one-to-one. Let me add, when I'm dealing with a group of people, there are some people who need individual attention. Some people don't need the individual attention. We must be able to gauge it. We must know our customers. KYC we have in banks, So we should know who are my boys and girls, what sort of drives they have. So once I get this, I could be focusing on empowering the person to achieve his or her individual output. At the same time, the group output will take place automatically. Suffice it to say, Celicia, that if I ensure that your individual efficiency and output is taken care of, you would, along with your other colleagues in the same group, would definitely achieve the group objective. There's no doubt about it. Let me take the next question. Akash Om Prakash Garewal, what if an organization group is filled with a bunch of negative people and it hampers great achievement? How do we address this issue with the seniors? Akash, everything starts from me. Akash, everything starts from me. If Akash is a member of that particular group where people are negative, what can he or she do? What can Akash do? I would always say that start off by building bridges. There isn't a single person with whom we cannot connect. So could I be in a position to connect to people with whom we have some shared values? I have come across organizations which are toxic, which are having negative people. But you will agree, Akash, that organizations which are having negative people are run by people who are doing positive networking with each other. Is it not true? Now, if this critical mass of people who are having a positive networking among themselves, if they start increasing and they start staying together, sooner or later you will find that that critical mass will be able to take the negative energy away. This sounds easily said than done, Akash. But this needs effort. It needs the cultural blessings of the top management, let me add. Because in some organizations at the top level, the vision is lacking about group dynamics. This is my observation as a leadership trainer. Now what I mean by this is, at the top management they have to understand that people come first, the goals come along with the people and not the other way around. So if an organization is promoting indirectly or directly group politics, groupism, then the negative energy you're talking about is rampant. So if it starts from the top, Akash, it will be an amazing thing to happen. On the other hand, if it's not happening from the top and there are different islands of people who are not connecting with each other, then there is bound to be the negative energy. It's a very large area of training and coaching to be done, Akash, but this is the best one could think of. So let me answer the next question which is on the line. Pranali Savant, sir, how to make the most out of informal groups and challenging human behaviors? Amazing, very good question, Pranali. I would always say that informal groups are the best people to manage. When an informal group comes together, they always have common values, common communication, and they are very free flowing. So if I am able to recognize who are the informal groups in an organization, it becomes easy for me to influence them to get certain things done, right? So as we do this, we find that these informal groups, each of the group, when we connect with each other, we get a certain type of a synergy towards the goals that we want. As a matter of fact, a good leader in an organization identifies and taps on the huge energy of an informal group. So it's my suggestion, Pranali, that's where you need to focus on. Okay? So thank you very much, friends. It was nice talking to all of you, and I hope this is very useful. So we'll have more questions from you, and I'll answer it offline after the session is over. Thank you very much. All the best.
Well, thank you, Professor Venkat Iyer. The session was really very insightful. And friends, the session has been brought to you by the hybrid division of WeSchool. And if you're looking to enroll for the PGDM hybrid program of WeSchool, or if any of your friends, acquaintances, or any of your colleagues are interested in enrolling for an MBA program, please do suggest to call them on the admission helpline, which is 022 4051 4051. Until then, have a great learning experience. Thank you.